Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Water Rising. I thought today I would do something fun and different in devotion to our conversation today about creation and really being inside of your own creative process, whatever that looks like and however and wherever it takes you. So I know those of you who have been listening on our Substack to our other episodes that are not the video ones, but the audio ones, I often talk about the reservoir, and I come here for inspiration and to walk, and my dog who's running around that you might hear or see in the background at some point. We come here to the water, and it's such a creative place for me, and it's actually the place that the inspiration for Water Rising came from. So I came out here today. I was sitting at home thinking of what inspiration is coming through to be spoken about. And I was really stuck. Like the channel just wasn't flowing. There wasn't movement of ideas and creativity. And so I got the inspiration to come out here and share this place with you today for our recording. And I probably next time would bring a tripod because my arm is already shaking from holding the camera. So we'll see how steady I can keep it for you. But I wanted to share this place with you, and I wanted to come here because in speaking about the creative process, right, one of the things that is so important is that we really honor our own divine flow, our own creation process. And if you're anything like me, then you might have been deeply disconnected from that when you were younger. And life has been a devotion to reconnecting. And I remember I used to say, gosh, in my early 20s probably, and into my 30s, I would say I'm not creative. If someone would ask me to do something or make something or be involved in a creative process, I would bow out, oh, I'm not creative. I don't know how to do that. I had a joke that with cooking, that if someone asked me if I knew how to cook, I would say, I can boil water. Does that count? And it was these ways of deflecting, right, from allowing myself to receive inspiration and creativity because that channel had been blocked very early in life when in art class. I feel like I was in 5th grade, 4th grade, somewhere around there. And I was doing, the projects that the teacher suggested. And back then art was very conformative, let's say. Like this was the example, and then yours needed to look as close to that as possible in order to count. And mine never did. And not only did it not conform, but it also got laughed at a lot. And I got asked to try again and do it differently and all sorts of things that ultimately led to me feeling like, well, I'm just not creative because I can't draw the way these other people do. And the things that I try to create don't fit the model. They don't look like what someone else created. And instead of being given the opportunity to explore my own creative channel and what it meant to be creative for me, because I didn't fit the stereotype, well, then obviously I wasn't talented and I didn't have any creativity in me. I should probably just stick to math and science and subjects that needed less creative flair and more that I could just use my logical brain for. And so began sort of this unraveling of what is creativity. And as I got into my 20s and I started doing different things, I really started to see that creativity was my own unique process. It was my way of doing things. I remember one Christmas, I came up with the idea that we could make all our Christmas presents for each other. And it was a way for me to lean into my creativity. And I think for my family, it sparked something too, because they kind of felt awkward, like, oh gosh, we've got to make something. And yet in the end, we all had a great time. And since then, we have all gone on different creative journeys. So just the willingness to make something changes us. It changes our frequency and the way that we're being in the world. And now it's, at what, 52? My whole life is creative. This whole process, right, of making art, but I make it in a different way. I make it in video form, in audio form, in intuitive form. In our program, The Journey, we are so creative, but we're creative with our healing process, with our innermost selves, with the parts of us that have been neglected. We're learning how to creatively bring all of us back to the whole that we never left, but that we believed that we had left. And we are actively working in a process of learning what is our own unique creative process. And the women are moving through exercises and practices to really develop and get connected to, right? How do you uniquely create in the world? What is your unique path? And yes, there are some specific paths, right? Like we could say, well, I'm a writer, or I'm an artist, I'm a poet, I'm a creator of audio content. Oh my gosh, you can see my dog in the background. Yet inside of that wider path, there's a very narrow and unique path that is all yours. And the more that you can hone in on how do you create, how do you move through the world in your unique way, then this opens up places inside you that may have been closed down. And some of you, maybe you are already creative, right? You didn't lose that draw inside you. Like it always stayed alive and it always has been part of you. And yet there's still some disbelief in that you can have this creative thing be your life and be life-sustaining and life-giving and take you somewhere other than just being the thing you do on the side, right? And maybe you want it to be more. Maybe you want it to be the thing you do. This is how you bring your gifts to the world. And so really drilling down, right, on how creativity comes to you and moves through you is really an incredible part of a healing process as well, right? Not just about bringing your purpose and passions to the world, but going deep into the truth of who you are, really connecting in with what are the divine inspirational channels that open when you show up and when you co-create with the divine. What is that pathway? How do you tap into it? And just like in my example, how I started out, right? Like I sat down to create videos and the channel was just stuck. And if I didn't understand my creative process and what I need in order to sort of prime that pump, I might have sat there and forced myself to make the videos. I might have just given up entirely. There are lots of things I could have done, but because I am very connected to the way that I create and the way that it feels when I'm co-creating, I have options and I have inspirations on how to be inspirational and how to be creative, right? Like that comes through. It's like just because one part of the channel might be stuck, it doesn't mean that the entire channel is, right? And this is the beauty, this is the magic of when you are deeply connected to your unique way of being, that you have access to these parts of you. You have access to the way this works. And so the magic can unfold even in the times you're stuck. And that makes me want to talk about stuck, right? Because stuck literally is just our unwillingness to make a decision. Like if I had stayed home today, I could have just been stuck. But instead, I made a decision to come out here and share this and just be out here. I can hear the birds, I can hear the water, I can hear a plane gonna fly over at some point. Like there's just a lot of life happening. And then that life starts to flow through what I'm creating. And because I made that decision to do something different today, it opens up the portal. The creative inspiration has a place to meet you. And then stuff just starts happening, right? Like I actually didn't know what I was going to talk about today. But then I sat down and I realized, like, well, it's about the creative process, because that's what happened to me today. And this lived example of how this works, my hope is that it serves you and really connects you into that deeper place inside you that knows, right? Because so often we can be forcing a version of our creativity because we think this is the path. We think this is the place that we need to follow because this is what we've done. This is how the world has told us we're creative. This is what's been available to us, right? But in reality is, if we are allowing ourselves to get a little deeper, we might see something new. We might see a way that we already are creating. We're just not connected to it in that way. And then we're able to access that wisdom and that place inside us that is a little deeper, that is a little richer, that has a little more to share with us and to bring through with us. So, what is your creative process? How do you bump up against things in the world? How do you bring things new into the world? Where do you get stuck? Where are you in resistance? What are the parts and processes that you move through that are your way of doing things, right? Things don't need to be right or wrong. They get to be correct for you. And this is a huge distinction, right? Because what's right for someone else could be incredibly not right for me, right? So really getting in touch with what's correct for you is an incredible part of the creative process. And things are dropping on my head from the tree. The tree is loving us. So yeah, I'd love to hear answers to those questions. You can post them in the comments, reach out, and get in touch with your divine creative inspiration today. Mwah.